Welcome to the seating module for Alberta Aids to Daily Living online training.
Module 2.4 will provide you with information on Alberta Aids to Daily Living seating benefits. We will review the eligibility criteria, the assessment and authorization process, the assessment form, and the seating approved product list, or APL-X. AADL seating benefits are categorized based on the basis of AADL seating needs level. Level A, basic seating. Level B, specialized seating. And Level C, complex seating. AADL wheelchair and seating benefits authorizations and claims are processed via the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. This is a diagram of the AADL seating needs levels, which is a conceptual framework developed in conjunction with Alberta Health Services to support the policies for AADL seating benefits. At the top of the pyramid are clients with the most complex needs. At the bottom are clients with more basic needs. For each level, there is associated service level requirements to appropriately address the needs of each particular client. The following slides will explain each of the AADL seating needs levels.
Level A, basic seating, is for clients who utilize a wheelchair less than 6 hours per day or full-time wheelchair users who require postural support to improve comfort and positioning. The client is at a low risk for secondary complications and has relatively simple needs. There is no need for custom components. Clinicians working with Level A clients will have basic clinical skills and competencies in the field of wheelchairs, tissue viability, and posture management. They are a primary or community provider, giving one-off seating recommendations and general advice.
Level B specialized seating is for full-time wheelchair users who require postural support to safely and effectively use the wheelchair and are at medium risk for secondary complications. Clients in this level have multidimensional needs and will require regular follow-up. They have a low likelihood of need for custom components. Clinicians working with Level B clients will have specialized clinical skills and competencies in the field of wheelchairs, tissue viability, and posture management. The assessment may require linking with other disciplines, and recommendations may extend beyond equipment needs. The clinician will use the care pathway approach and will be a primary provider or part of a community team. Level C complex seating is for full-time wheelchair users who require equipment to accommodate significant postural issues and are at the highest risk for secondary complications such as skin breakdown or respiratory needs. Complex seating is for clients with advanced neuromuscular conditions, life-threatening conditions, or who require adaptive technology mounted to the wheelchair and multi-dimensional needs. These clients require ongoing monitoring and follow-up, and there is a high likelihood of need for custom components. Clinicians working with Level C clients will have expert clinical skills and competencies in the field of wheelchairs, tissue viability, and posture management. They will participate in interdisciplinary team assessment, including with adaptive seating technicians. Their recommendations will be based on comprehensive goal setting with various stakeholders under a case management approach. They will be part of a regional or tertiary team.
We'll now review AADL seating benefits.
The authorization process for Level A seating involves the client, an authorizer who is an occupational therapist or a physical therapist, and vendor seating technician working in collaboration to create an authorization. The authorizer verifies client eligibility for seating needs level A and creates an authorization on the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. Once the benefits have been provided to the client, the vendor submits a claim through the portal. The client declaration and AADL seating assessment forms, or equivalent, is kept on the client's clinical file unless they are uploaded to support a quantity and frequency review request. The authorization process for Level B seating involves the client, an authorizer who is an occupational therapist or a physical therapist, a second OT or PT in collaboration, and a commercial seating technician. The authorizer verifies client eligibility for seating needs level B or specialized seating needs and creates an authorization on the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. Once benefits have been provided to the client, the seating benefits vendor submits a claim through the portal. Again, the client declaration and AADL seating assessment forms or equivalent are kept on the client's clinical file unless they are uploaded to support a QFR request. The authorization process for Level C seating involves the client, an authorizer who is an occupational therapist or a physical therapist, a second OT or PT in collaboration, and an adaptive seating technician. As in the other processes, the authorizer verifies client eligibility for seating needs level C or complex seating needs and creates an authorization on the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. Once benefits have been provided to the client, the seating benefits vendor submits a claim through the portal. The client declaration and AADL seating assessment forms or equivalent are kept on the client's clinical file unless uploaded to support a QFR request. Here are the seating benefits available by the level of need. For clients who are occasional wheelchair users, funding is available for the V990 wheelchair cushion only. Occasional wheelchair use is defined as less than daily use of a wheelchair. For example, clients who do not require a wheelchair for daily mobility or who only require a wheelchair for long distances. AADL seating needs Level A clients can be provided with back cushions, backrests, headrests, and wheelchair accessories such as a tray, amputee boards, seat inserts, and transfer boards. In addition to Level A seating benefit items, AADL seating needs Level B clients can be provided with specialized cushions, backrests, headrests, and wheelchair accessories, as well as other postural supports and wheelchair accessories. AADL seating needs Level C clients can be provided with Level A and B seating benefits items as needed, along with complex cushions, backrests, headrest, and wheelchair accessories, as well as other postural supports and wheelchair accessories. We'll now look at the AADL authorizer requirements for the 3 seating levels. To become an authorizer for Level A seating benefits or secondary product ranges, you must be an occupational therapist or physical therapist, also concurrently be an AADL authorizer for manual wheelchair benefits, have experience with a minimum of 5 Level A assessments and fittings, be familiar with seating assessment protocols that include medical, social, and functional history, mechanical assessment tool or MAT assessment, and client-centered goal setting. You must also participate in ongoing annual continuing competency activities related to seating. An authorizer for Level B seating must satisfy all of the authorizer requirements for Level A seating benefits, be employed by an AADL recognized Level B seating team, and have a minimum experience of participating in 10 Level B seating assessments and fittings. An authorizer for Level C must satisfy all of the authorizer requirements for levels A and B seating benefits, be employed by an AADL recognized level C seating team, and have a minimum experience of participating in 20 level C seating assessments and fittings. Authorizer application forms for level A, B, and C seating authorizers can be found on the AADL website under Forms and Documents. Completed forms can be sent to aadl.applications@gov.ab.ca.
We will now look at the client eligibility criteria for seating benefits.
The client must meet all the general AADL eligibility criteria, the general seating eligibility criteria, and the clinical eligibility criteria by the specific seating needs level. To meet the AADL general eligibility criteria, the client must be a permanent resident of Alberta, reside at home or in a community setting, have a valid Alberta personal health number, require benefits due to a long-term disability or chronic illness, have a valid authorization completed by an AADL authorizer, and sign the client declaration form. Clients are eligible for seating benefits if their needs are assessed and confirmed by an AADL-approved seating and wheelchair accessory benefit authorizer. During the assessment, the authorizer must confirm that the client's postural support needs are essential to the safe and effective use of their wheelchair. Funding eligibility is also contingent on the benefits being chosen only from products listed on the Seating and Wheelchair Accessory Approved Products list and provided to the client by an AADL-approved seating vendor. Both the assessment and provision of benefits must remain in compliance with AADL seating standards. The eligibility criteria for each AADL seating needs level was developed in collaboration with clinical experts and is designed to ensure each client receives an appropriate level of assessment based on their basic needs. The AADL seating needs level criteria has been developed as a decision tree, which we will examine in the next slide.
Here is the decision-making tree. Please note that you can press pause to spend more time examining the tree. We'll now look at the definitions based on wheelchair use and seating levels. An occasional user who is eligible for the V990 cushion only will use a wheelchair on less than a daily basis for such activities as long-distance travel or transportation and will have a permanent mobility base that is either privately owned or AADL funded. Please note that geriatric chairs are not considered mobility bases.
A client with seating needs level A must have a clinically assessed need for postural support and a permanent mobility base such as a wheelchair, power wheelchair, or stroller that is either privately owned or AADL funded. The client must be at least a part-time user, defined as daily use of less than 6 continuous hours. Again, geriatric chairs are not mobility bases. A client with seating needs level B must meet all the level A criteria and be either a pediatric client of 0 to 17 years of age or an adult full-time wheelchair user with the inability to sit independently and/or with a significant documented postural deformity. A client with seating needs level C must meet all of the level B criteria and be either a pediatric client of 0 to 17 years of age with significant documented postural deformities, or an adult full-time wheelchair user with significant documented postural deformities, combined with a high risk of skin breakdown and/or the inability to sit independently.
Here is a summary of the steps the authorizer and supporting clinicians would take to make the determination of the service level for the client. Please note that you can press pause to spend more time examining the seating needs level screen tool.
Now we will look at the assessment and authorization process. Here's the decision-making tree for the authorization and assessment process. Please note that you can press pause to spend more time examining this tree. The first step is to identify the need for a seating benefit using the AADL Seating Needs Level Eligibility Screening tool. Upon completion of the AADL Seating Needs Level Eligibility Screening tool, the authorizer will refer the client to the appropriate seating authorizer or team. The AADL Seating Needs Level Eligibility Screening tool will guide assessors and authorizers towards identifying a client's seating needs level. The client should be referred to the most appropriate seating authorizer or team. If the client chooses not to be assessed by the appropriate team, they may not be eligible for the corresponding benefits or the same level of funding. Please note that the client does have the choice to upgrade their benefit, but is responsible to cover any additional costs. The additional costs also do not count towards the $500 cost share maximum if the client is cost sharing. If the client is not eligible for funding under AADL, they should be referred to alternate funding sources. Moving forward on our flowchart, the seating authorizer or team will then complete the assessment and AADL authorization. Assessments are done using the AADL Seating Needs Level Eligibility Assessment Form. This multi-page clinical assessment tool document is required to establish client eligibility and includes medical, social, and functional history, a movement assessment tool or MAT assessment, and a client-centered goal setting. AADL also provides a seating needs level eligibility assessment form instruction sheet to explain how to complete the AADL seating needs level eligibility assessment form. The AADL Seating Needs Level Eligibility Assessment Form must be completed in full without exception. Sections A through F detail the client's functional, social, and medical history, while sections G and H detail the MAT assessment and actual measurements. Do not use terms like minor, slight, moderate, or severe when discussing deformity because these are not objective. Section I, the seating summary, details client-centered goals, recommendations, and all those present during the assessment. The client section requires the client or appropriate caregiver signature. Section J includes the seating authorizer and seating team, if required, information. Section K must be signed by the client or caregiver. Unlike the client declaration form, Section K does not have to be someone financially responsible for the client. The seating summary should always include client-centered outcomes. The goal of the entire seating process is for the client to be satisfied with their seating and positioning. Therefore, the outcomes the client expects or wants to attain are key to a successful process and must be understood by the entire seating team. The conversation about expected outcomes gives the seating team a chance to guide the client to realistic expectations and to discuss possible limitations. For instance, if a client expects to have a different cushion at work and at home, the team can discuss AADL's limits and explore alternate funding. The outcomes must be worded to clearly reflect and delineate between what the client clinically and functionally needs and wants in words that both the client and the seating team understand. To measure or track the success of the seating intervention, the client must be followed up within 3 months to check on whether or not these outcomes have been attained. When writing client-centered outcomes, focus on client-specific clinically and functionally assessed basic needs. Also, get client input by asking the client simple questions such as, what do you want to be able to do when you have the new seating? And what do you hope will be better with this new seating? As much as possible, let the client develop the outcome. Use language that the client and/or caregiver understand. In other words, try to avoid technical terms and jargon. Negotiation on reasonable expectations with the client may be required until an agreement is reached. Therapists need to share their professional knowledge to allow the client to make an informed decision about their desired seating outcomes. The client should be well informed of AADL's quantity and frequency limits, as well as the pros and cons of different seating components. Be sure the client and/or family are aware of funding limitations so they can plan for the client's long-term needs. Remember to document all the information shared with the client during the decision-making process. Explore alternative funding in situations where the client prefers a product not funded by AADL or that exceeds AADL maximum contribution. Establishing outcomes includes stating who will do what under what circumstances, such as specifying who the outcome is about and the purpose of the outcome. An example would be the client will be able to self-propel their wheelchair independently to the dining room and back to attend meals. Outcomes should also include a description of the client's baseline condition so the client will be reminded of their starting point. For example, the baseline condition would be, currently the client is sliding forward in their wheelchair and cannot foot propel independently to the dining room. Avoid planning statements such as, the OT will assess wheelchair cushions that enable foot propelling, or the client needs a power wheelchair and wheelchair cushion. Instead, utilize an appropriate outcome statement such as, the client will sit in his chair to attend school without needing to be repositioned, or the client will be able to transfer the seating system between power and backup manual wheelchairs. As long as the seating assessment is conducted in an environment with appropriate space, it can be held in a clinic or in the client's home or care facility. The assessment must include a documented mechanical assessment tool or MAT assessment and client-centered goals. The goals must be SMART, which stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-related. Upon completion of the assessment, the authorizer will check the client's previous benefit consumption. The seating authorizer will check previous client consumption of seating benefits via the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. If the client is not over quantity for the benefit, the authorizer will continue with the authorization. If the client is over quantity for the benefit, the authorizer will follow the quantity and frequency review or QFR request process. The approved product list gives the replacement frequency period for each benefit. If the client requires replacement of seating benefits within the replacement frequency period, follow the quantity and frequency review process. To access early replacement, the authorizer must confirm that the request is not for duplicate benefits, that the replacement cannot be covered under warranty, and that alternate funding for the benefit has been explored. If there is no alternate funding, the authorizer will follow the quantity and frequency review or QFR process. The next step in the process is the recommendation and trialing of the seating components. The trial phase begins once the specific equipment needs are known. In the case of a QFR, the trial may or may not occur prior to the QFR being approved, but the client should be made aware that they may not be deemed eligible through the QFR process. While seating technicians provide technical guidance and consultation, the seating authorizer is responsible for all seating recommendations. There is a time limit of 1 week for trialing equipment. Equipment that is at risk for soiling or contamination must be protected. Trial equipment may not necessarily be the exact equipment that will be provided to the client. It is imperative that the client, seating authorizers, and seating vendors maintain close communication to ensure the equipment meets the client's assessed long-term needs. Following successful equipment trial, the next step is authorization submission via the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. For non-QFR situations, the seating authorizer begins an authorization on the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal, uploads the signed client declaration form, and authorizes the eligible seating needs level of postural support, wheelchair, and seating equipment for each client. A signed client declaration form must be submitted with each authorization. Remember that the AADL seating assessment form is not submitted with the authorization, but both it and the signed client declaration form must be kept on the client's clinical file. For quantity and frequency review requests, the seating authorizer submits a QFR request via the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal based on the client's clinically assessed eligible seating needs level. The signed client declaration, QFR, and AADL seating assessment forms must all be uploaded to the portal. Following the adjudication of the QFR by AADL, Alberta Blue Cross will update the QFR authorization status on the online health portal to reflect any early replacement benefit items. Remember that the signed client declaration, QFR, and AADL seating assessment forms must be kept on the client's clinical file. Following successful authorization submission via the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal, the final step is the fitting, provision, and payment of benefits. Once the authorization has been approved, the seating vendor can perform the final fitting and provide the authorized benefits. However, the final equipment selection and confirming fit is the responsibility of the seating authorizer. AADL recommends that the seating authorizer and seating technicians attend the final fitting appointment together. Correct installation and adjustment of all authorized postural support wheelchair and seating equipment is the responsibility of the seating vendor, along with any appropriate seating technician. Seating authorizers must ensure appropriate written instructions are provided to the client and caregivers on the care and maintenance of the overall seating system. Collection of any cost share or upgrades from the client, and provision of the Alberta Blue Cross patient claim statement to the client remains the responsibility of the seating vendor.
We'll now look at the seating and wheelchair accessories approved product list.
The Seating Benefits and Wheelchair Accessories Approved Product List, or APL-X, is separated by seating benefit or product types. APL-X is also the source for funding-specific information, as well as quantity and frequency limits and the maximum price AADL will pay for a product. Level A clients are only eligible for Level A benefits, whereas Level B clients are eligible for both Level A and Level B benefits, and Level C clients are eligible for all 3 levels of benefits. The catalog numbers are based on their generic description, and equipment must match the generic description. The Seating Benefits and Wheelchair Accessories Approved Product List, or APL-X, contains a list of all AADL approved seating manufacturers, and all seating equipment must come from these manufacturers. Please note that any price listed on the Seating Benefits and Wheelchair Accessories Approved Product List, or APL-X, is the maximum price that will be funded by AADL. AADL seating vendors are to only invoice AADL for the manufacturer's suggested retail price, in other words, the MSRP, or the retail price charged by the AADL seating vendor, whichever is lower. Furthermore, AADL seating vendors must offer a choice of seating benefits that meet the standards of the generic description at or lower than the maximum price. If this cannot be done, the AADL seating vendor is obliged to refer the client to an AADL seating vendor that can supply the benefit under AADL pricing conditions. The client may prefer an upgrade to their seating benefit, in which case the client is required to pay the cost difference in excess of maximum price that is funded by AADL. This amount is not considered part of the $500 per family per year cost share amount if the client cost shares.
To summarize,
AADL seating benefits can only be authorized by designated seating authorizers. Assessment requirements are different for each seating needs level. All seating benefit authorizations are completed and submitted on the Alberta Blue Cross online health portal. AADL only provides funding for the components listed in the Seating Benefits and Wheelchair Accessories Approved Product List, or APL-X. Required seating equipment not listed on APL-X should be referred to alternate funding sources. APL-X is based on a benchmark model, so all equipment must match the generic description for the corresponding seating needs level indicated on APL-X. Thank you for reviewing Module 2.4, the Seating and Wheelchair Accessories module of the AADL online training. Please contact AADL if you have questions about the module content.